The miniature painted in this video is the August 2025 Free Miniature of the Month from Games Workshop and is a blood claw from the Spacewolves, a sub-faction of the Adeptus Astartes or Space Marines. After cutting out the pieces and cleaning up the mold lines, which I did a fairly decent job of for once, I drill out the barrel and muzzle vents before assembling with superglue. After deciding on the arm positions, I physically stood in the same stance and moved my head around and glued the head in what I felt was a more natural position. I wanted to add a little personalization to the first Space Marine I've ever painted, so I pulled the head off a Dead Thousand Suns Rubric Marine before cutting away the molded stone the Space Wolf was standing on and sanded his foot flat. Instead of standing upon Earth, his lead foot will be crushing down upon the Space Wolf's most hated foe. I'll admit that this hurt my heart as I really like the Thousand Suns, and 15 books into the Horus Heresy, I do not like the Space Wolves at all. Their aesthetic is awesome, it's like the bastard child of Wolverine and a super soldier Viking. My problem is that they're written as arrogant, ignorant, condescending, and hypocritical. I have yet to read a Space Wolf that can hold a candle to the majesty, honor, courage, and loyalty of my boy Mahotep from the Battle for the Abyss novel. Prejudice aside, I begin gluing cork to the base to create more interesting ground. I'll also need to slightly sink in the severed head. This positioning, having already been checked, will slightly change the pitch of the Marine, so he appears to be standing triumphantly versus charging forward. And while I'm at it, I'll also add some green stuff to better affix a magnet as I store my miniatures in magnetic cases. I next add on some small rocks and sand, a tuft, and a 3D printed plant. Then, with Tamiya's extra thin cement, I gently rub the laden brush back and forth against gaps that need to be filled. This will slowly melt the plastic and seal the hole. With the miniature finally assembled, I head out to my shop and prime the miniatures with Vallejo's Ultramarine Blue before following up with a zenithal spray of white ink. Both of these colors were applied over 3 or 4 light coats, allowing for plenty of time to dry in between, mainly due to the high humidity we currently have in Georgia. I finish up the work in the shop with a light dusting of gloss varnish and head back inside where I prepare to start the brushwork. But first, a word from today's sponsor. I'm just kidding. I barely got 1,000 subscribers at the time of this video. I ain't got no damn sponsors. But you can help that by clicking all of them good for me buttons, and it'll only cost you a few seconds of your time and less than 1 calories worth of effort. I knock out the metallic base coats first, using a silver for everything on the Space Marine, even what will eventually be gold. Here I'm using Army Painter speed paints, and let me tell you, speed paints on Space Marines, at least applied by brush, is not the greatest thing. This would have come out a lot less splotchy with an airbrush, even with the using of speed paints. However, in the end, most of the splotchiness will be cleaned up with a little extra work. I do no glazing or wet blending at all in this video, hiding it with what boils down to 2 shortcuts. I also end up using the same yellow for the shoulder pads and eyes, however I put down a dab of white ink in the eyes first, and then a little gloss varnish. The reason why I varnish after airbrushing the white ink previously, and after adding ink to the eyes now, is specifically because of the alcohol in Army Painter speed paints. They eat away at the ink, causing it to pull away. The varnish will seal it and prevent that from happening. I next move to tinting the parts I want gold with another speed paint. From my experience thus far, the 3 things Army Painter speed paints are best at is when it's used on something with a lot of detail and crevices such as hair or fur, when it's applied through an airbrush, since they're so thin, and when being applied as a tint over bright silver metallic base coats. For golds, I found that brownish decay makes for an amazing change, and I wanted to try ochre clay in this video, and it did not disappoint. For the black metals, I like to use Tyrian Navy, which is a dark blue, but if you put it on very heavy, it will come out nearly black. Now, my original plan was to put decals on the shoulders. I even bought the Spacewolves bits pack, although to my dismay it doesn't actually come with decals. I was a little disheartened at this because this was originally planned to not only be the first Space Marine I ever painted, but also the first time I tried applying decals. Instead, I gloss coat the shoulder pads as I fully expect having to add and remove paint as I try to hand paint these symbols. And right off the bat, I don't like how this is coming out, so with a large wet brush, I quickly and gently removed the paint so I could start over. This, surprisingly, didn't take nearly as long as I thought it would, and I finished both shoulders start to end within 30 minutes of active work. As the black paint dries, I swap to red for the other Paldron. I googled Spacewolves heraldry and got a screenshot from their codex that explains the different symbols and their meanings. One of the descriptions was specifically for the blood claws, so that's what I painted here. As an additional note, for the black and red, it's just one color each. I didn't highlight or shade them at all here. They do get shaded later somewhat. However, I do give them some yellow scratches before hitting them with matte varnish to remove the shine on the yellow bits from the gloss varnish that I used previously. At this stage, I consider everything finally base coated. Since the Spacewolves are very Viking-esque and their home planet Fenris is generally portrayed as an icy wasteland, as it rarely thaws due to its exaggerated elliptical orbit around the sun, I mix up some snow terrain texture paste with a little water and add some gentle dabs here and there around the base, foliage, and boots. So I build a small canyon of snow to flank where the blood will run through. And shut up, yes, I know. Rubric Marines are all full of dust, not blood. I originally thought this was a sorcerer's helmet, and that's why I went with blood. But I worked it out in my head as a group of Rubric Marines were restored, freed from the curse of dust. Tzeentch did this solely to prove to Ahriman that it could be done. The only drawback is that it happened in the middle of a battle with the Spacewolves. Ahriman was present to witness these suddenly confused but liberated Rubric Marines immediately cut down by the oncoming Spacewolves. Where one might think Ahriman would find this cruel, instead, he can only see the fact that it's possible en masse to save thousands of his Rubrici, and his devotion to Tzeentch only deepens. With that batshit idea somewhat justified, I combined UV resin with red dye in a disposable container and mixed it and applied it with a toothpick, stopping periodically to hit the resin with a UV light to cure it on the model. I was mindful to always set the mixed resin aside so I didn't accidentally cure it along with the resin on the model. I haven't done it yet, but it's gonna happen. Once happy with the result, I hit the leftover resin in the container to harden it before tossing it in the trash. Once more outside, I hit the model with a few passes from below using blue ink to add shadows. I also add a few light touches on the base and snow for more shadows. Then I do the same with some violet ink to add darker shadows here and there. These shadows will also tint the downward facing parts of the shoulders, adding some to the yellow and designs that I didn't paint with the brush previously. Back inside, I use the Army Painter's glistening blood and dab a little here and there on the chainsword and lead boot. Next, I mix some Mr. Weathering multi-blackened solvent until it runs nicely into my old man knuckles, and I just touch this around the miniature and let it run into the recesses. I don't slap the entire model with it, but I'm also not worried about getting it where I don't want it. While waiting for this pen wash to dry, I reapply a little snow texture to add some more pure white, as well as cover up anywhere where I went a little too heavy with the airbrush shadows. And while the snow texture is still wet, I sprinkle on a little of AK Interactive's snow micro balloons. The thin snow texture gives a slushy, melted, snowy look, while the micro balloons gives more of a fresh fallen, powdery look. Mixing the two around the base looks the best to me personally. By the time I'm done with the snow, the pen wash is set enough that I can lightly dampen a makeup sponge with solvent and gently wipe away any excess wash that got where I do not want it. Finally, all that's left is the highlights in the eyes, so I get to work. For the blue armor, which now has blue and purple shadows, I first highlight the shadows with 2 tones of purples, with the brighter tone going where purple becomes blue. Then I do edge highlights and scratches with a light blue. The edge highlights are done in jagged, broken bits instead of long, clean lines to help sell some dents and damage. The scratches, along with the airbrush shadows from before, help hide quite a bit of the initial splotchiness that was created by the speed paints on these large, flat surfaces. These highlights took the longest time in this project. All in all, it took me roughly 9 hours of active working to paint the Space Marine. 3.5 hours of that time was just brush highlights. Base coating everything took about 2 hours, and then the mold line cleanup and assembling of the model took about another hour and a half. Every other step went by very quickly in comparison. I add one highlight to the yellow parts, and then add several highlights of increasingly lighter scratches and edge highlights to the leathers. There was really no technique to the leather other than random scratches with different lengths and angles. The only thing to really note is that to keep the lines fairly spaced out and make sure that they're thin. Don't overdo the amount of lines with each color, as you want to be able to see the base coat and each color of the scratches easily. For the gold highlights, I used an actual gold metallic paint and just did edge highlights with few scratches on larger areas. The same with the silver. Then for the silver corners, I added one additional highlight of silver ink just on the tips. For the eyes, I paint a sclera-like shape on the lenses and then drop in some yellow ink before blacking out the base and calling it a night. And this is where I stopped. I originally didn't intend to spend 9 hours on the miniatures, since my goal is to paint the free GW miniature at the first week of every month. But I'm not mad that I spent this much time, especially as, again, this was my first Space Marine. I'm surprisingly happy with how the wolf and red patterns on the shoulders came out, as I'm not good with hand-painted designs. I also like how the gold tint on the metallic pieces turned out. The edge highlights and scratches on the armor took a lot of time and effort, but ultimately is definitely worth it. It not only helped to hide a lot of the splotchy, uneven base coat, but it also helped parts of the armor to stand out, especially on the helmet. I definitely could have spent more time on the eyes, but I wanted to keep them simple and somewhat matching the Paldrons. For lessons learned, speed paints on something that is mostly large flat surfaces is a no-no, unless you're going to apply it via airbrush. And even then, at that point, I might as well do most of the volumetric highlights and shadows with the airbrush. On the metallics, particularly the black metals, I got a little too heavy-handed with the Tyrian Navy, especially on the gun. My metallic edge highlights are also not very clean, as I probably need to constantly load and unload the brush with metallic paint in order to have better controlled and finer edge highlights. My next big mistake is just a lore one, but again, Rubric Marines are full of dust and not blood. but I also feel like my story idea of miraculously restored Marines only to immediately die by their hated enemy, and for Ariman to witness it, and instead of feeling hopelessly defeated at the sight, he conversely only furthers his devotion to the twisted machinations of the Chaos God Tzeentch. It's pretty damn grimdark and fittingly 40k. And lastly, my final regret is the blue that I used turned out to be too saturated. It should be a more faded baby blue. I know it's minor, but due to the large amount of different factions and sub-factions of Space Marines, including the ability to make your own custom chapter, these colors do matter. This tone of blue is more akin to the Ultramarines Emperor Spears chapter, as opposed to the Space Wolves Bloodclaw from the Blackmane chapter. In fact, the only thing denoting his chapter is his pauldrons and the few small fangs decoring his gear. And that'll bring this video to its end. I hope you learned something or inspired to start or expand your own collection of hypocritical, arrogant, and ignorant super soldier space Vikings that literally transform into werewolves. If you are a Space Wolves fan and you don't like that statement, then I got two things to tell you. First, there are no wolves on Fenris. And most importantly, Magnus did nothing wrong. If you have any questions, feel free to ask, and if you like the content of this video and would like to see more, you can easily support the channel by liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. I'm Jim with Working with Miniatures. I'm truly grateful for your time, and I bid you a fond farewell. Until the next video.